As the conversation progressed, Sarah felt a deeper connection with Ethan. They were no longer just mentor and mentee. They were partners in this journey, their stories weaving together to form a powerful narrative of both pain and hope. When the interview ended, Sarah felt a sense of relief and satisfaction, having opened up in ways she never thought possible. "You were incredible," Ethan said as they left the office. "This will reach people. I can feel it." "I couldn't have done it without you," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. The article was published a week later, and both Sarah and Ethan were moved by how authentically their stories had been portrayed. The piece emphasized not only their individual experiences, but the need for collective action in addressing racial bias. It sparked discussions within the community, and Sarah began receiving messages from people expressing gratitude and interest in joining the mentorship program. In the weeks that followed, Sarah saw a ripple effect in her community. More people engaged in conversations about race, and many sought ways to educate themselves. Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that her once silenced voice had become part of a larger movement for understanding and change. Alongside Ethan and her mentor, Elena, Sarah committed to amplifying their message, recognizing that this was just the beginning of a long and important journey. As Sarah's involvement in the mentorship program deepened, her life became a whirlwind of activities. Schools invited her and Ethan to speak, and local organizations began collaborating on events to promote inclusivity. Balancing her job as a waitress with her growing responsibilities in the mentorship program was challenging, but the thought that her story could inspire even one person kept her motivated. One day, Sarah and Ethan were invited to a local high school for a panel discussion on race and identity. As they prepared, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. High school students could be a tough crowd, but she believed they were the ones most capable of change. On the day of the event, the school auditorium was packed with students, teachers, and administrators. The moderator, Mr. Jacobs, welcomed them warmly and introduced Sarah and Ethan, explaining that they would share their stories and discuss the impact of racial bias. As they took their seats on the panel, Sarah felt a flutter of nerves but reminded herself of the purpose. This was her chance to speak directly to the younger generation and inspire change. When the floor opened for questions, a thoughtful student raised her hand. "Sarah, can you tell us about the moment you realized you needed to change your perspective on race?" Sarah took a deep breath as she recalled that pivotal day in the diner when she dismissed Ethan without a second thought. "It was the day I met Ethan," she began. "I made a horrible comment about a customer, not knowing who he was, a successful businessman and mentor. When I realized what I had done, it hit me hard. I knew I had to confront my biases and become a better person." The students leaned in, captivated by her honesty. Another student raised his hand. "What advice do you have for us when we see someone treated unfairly because of their race?" Sarah smiled. "Stand up for them, speak out, but also educate yourself. Racism can be subtle, not always obvious. It's in the assumptions we make and the comments we let slide. If we confront our biases and learn from others, we can create a more inclusive world." The discussion flowed naturally as Ethan shared his experiences of growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood, emphasizing the importance of allyship and speaking up for others. By the end of the panel, the atmosphere in the auditorium had shifted. Students were no longer passive listeners but active participants. They asked questions, shared experiences, and discussed ways to foster a more inclusive community. After the event, a girl approached Sarah, her eyes shining. "Thank you for sharing your story. It made me think differently about how I've reacted in the past." Sarah felt a rush of joy. That's what it's all about. Change starts with us, with our willingness to listen and grow. As the weeks went by, Sarah and Ethan's message continued to resonate. Their community engagements increased, and their friendship deepened. They spent more time together, not just as mentors but as friends with a shared goal. Sarah admired Ethan's resilience, while Ethan appreciated her dedication and courage. One evening over coffee, Sarah smiled. "I never thought I'd be doing this. I used to think I'd just be a waitress forever, living a quiet life. But now I feel like I'm part of something bigger." "You are," Ethan replied. "Your story matters, and it's part of a much larger journey that others are on as well." Sarah's involvement in the mentorship program expanded as she began collaborating with other organizations focused on racial equity. She and Ethan planned a community festival that would celebrate diversity, bringing together local businesses, artists, and leaders. The idea blossomed into a full-scale event, and the town buzzed with anticipation. On the day of the festival, Sarah stood at the entrance, watching families and friends fill the square. Colorful banners waved, music played, and the smell of food filled the air. Ethan joined her, grinning. "Can you believe this? Look at all the people." "It's incredible," Sarah beamed. "This is what community looks like." Throughout the day, Sarah and Ethan hosted storytelling sessions where people from different backgrounds shared their experiences. The stories ranged from heartwarming to heartbreaking, and the audience was deeply moved. As the sun began to set, Sarah took to the stage to thank everyone. "Today is a celebration of who we are and who we can become together. Let's continue this dialogue and make our community a safe space for everyone, regardless of race or background." The crowd erupted in applause, and Sarah felt a wave of emotion. She had gone from being a waitress to a voice for change. She looked at Ethan, and they shared a triumphant smile. As the festival wound down, Sarah felt a sense of fulfillment. They had sparked important conversations, fostered connections, and created a safe space for people to share their experiences. It was a testament to the power of community and the impact one voice could have. Sarah's journey was far from over, but she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With Ethan and her mentor Elena by her side, she was determined to continue advocating for change, inspiring others to join the fight for equality, and reminding everyone that every voice mattered. As she looked around at the lingering crowd, she knew they had planted the seeds of change. Like a garden in bloom, their community would continue to grow, nurtured by empathy, understanding, and the courage to confront the uncomfortable truths of racism. In that moment, Sarah felt a profound sense of hope. Together, they were creating a future where everyone's story was valued and compassion reigned supreme. This was just the beginning, and she couldn't wait to see what the future held.